Hey everybody, Austin back again, continuing this October 2013 Castlevania Let's Play Marathon. As you can see, we are revisiting the 8-bit NES with Castlevania III, Dracula's Curse. Now this game's actually known as Akumajo Densetsu in Japan, and the game's actually a prequel to the happenings in the original Castlevania. Which actually, when this game first came out, and me being probably about 8 years old when this game came out, that was actually pretty mind-blowing for me back then. Now that I look back at it now as a 30-something-year-old adult, it's like, well, the Castlevania universe and story arc is so all over the place, it doesn't really matter. But back then when I was a kid, I was like, oh wow, it's a prequel, and you play as Trevor Belmont, and blah blah blah, and it was so cool. But yeah, I don't even know where I was going with that. But yeah, we have Castlevania III for the 8-bit NES. I would like to preface this with a warning that I am probably not going to beat this game. And the reason is that, in my opinion, I think this is one of the hardest Castlevania games ever made. I mean, the original Haunted Castle arcade game's tough. Castlevania Chronicles or Akumajo X68000, those are pretty tough. But I think this really tops them all off in terms of difficulty. It's a really hard game, and I'm not sure if the Japanese version is any easier, or if, say, you take less damage in that version. I haven't experimented with that one too much, but this one is, man, it gets really, really cheap, like not in a good way, towards the end of the game, and you guys are going to experience that firsthand as I attempt to play this game. Now, I don't normally do this, but I am actually going to cheat when I play this game. And it's not really like cheating, like invincibility codes and Game Genie and flying over walls and stuff like that. I'm just going to do the 10 life code. And in order to do that, you just type the words help, add a space, and then me. So help me. And you hit end, and when you start the game, you're gonna start off with 10 lives instead of the 2. I think it's 2 lives by default when you first start. So yeah, there you go. Now if you look in the top right hand corner of the screen where it says P, it says 10. Those are your lives, and this is not so much for me as it is for you guys, because like I said, this game is extremely difficult towards the end of the game. And, if you only get 2 or 3 lives, that means I'm going to be continuing over and over again in order to try to beat those later stages. And what that means for you guys is watching the same crap over and over and over again. Because when you get a game over in this game, you get shot back all the way to the very beginning of the stage. Now, I know some other Castlevania games were like that, but this game, it really truly feels like a kick in the nuts when you get a game over and you get shot back to the very beginning. Especially when you're at Dracula's level, the final stage in the game. In this game, even when you get to Dracula, even though he's at like his own separate screen and area, just like he is in the first Castlevania, if you die at Dracula and you get a game over, you have to do the entire stage over again. Which in the first Castlevania, you just start back out at the beginning of Dracula's room. That does not happen in this game. So that is one of the reasons why I wanted to do the 10 life trick. Also, I wanted to show you it, because I don't think everybody knows about it, but it was a neat sort of trick back in the day that me and all my friends would do. So that's kind of like ingrained into my Castlevania 3 nostalgia a bit, is using that sort of code or name to give me 10 lives. But, as I mentioned, we are definitely going to need it. So, alright, I'm not actually playing too well right now, but, it's okay at the very beginning of the game if you're not playing too well, because enemies are only taking 2 or 3 hit points off of your bar at the top at a time. By the end of the game, the enemies are taking, I think, 5 hit points at a time, and basically what that means is you can only get hit about 4 times before dying towards the end of the game. But the enemy placement is much more trickier towards the end of the game. The enemies are much more aggressive overall towards the end of the game. And yeah, the game just gets very, very punishing towards the end. So But what you're going to see is, in this playthrough, guys, I'm actually going to be sort of bolting through the first few stages relatively quickly. I was practicing this game for the last few nights, last several nights, actually, and yeah, I mean, I've always been able to get through the first few stages without too much of a problem, just because, well, yeah, they're really not that difficult compared to the later parts of the game. And, you know, if you're able to really just, like, bolt through the first Castlevania, you really shouldn't have too much of a problem on, say, the first half of this game. It's the second half of this game that I think really eclipses even, like, the first Castlevania in terms of difficulty. Now, if you've never played this game before, but you have, say, experienced the first Castlevania, if you thought that game was hard, you really haven't seen anything yet. It's just, yeah. And don't even get me started on the second quest. I didn't even know there was like a much more difficult second quest. And I was playing through it last night because I finally beat the game. For like the first time in like 20 years I beat the game. I realized there's a second quest, and as opposed to just making things faster like in the first Castlevania, and maybe adding a couple more bats here and there, in this one they actually add completely new enemy placements on top of the existing enemy placements, and some are just really just absurd. If we just happen to beat this game, maybe I'll play a few stages on the second quest, but I can't make it a guarantee, so that's for sure. Now, this was one of the really cool things about Castlevania III, and that is, in certain parts of the game, you can actually go multiple ways. You can basically choose your route, and that was really awesome. And they sort of brought that back a tiny bit with Dracula X on the Turbo Duo, although it was implemented a little bit differently there. In that game, your choice was actually mid-stage and not after each level. You actually had to find your alternate pathways in that game, whereas this one, every few stages gives you a different way you can go. And now, despite this game being really tough and just being almost too hard for its own good, if you ask me, just the fact that you can go multiple routes really gives this game a lot of replay value. Even if you can't get very far, there are still a lot of different stage routes to try, and, well, a lot of different stages to get to. And actually, at the end of this stage, or actually I think it's the next stage after we go through one of the main doors, we are actually going to get to one of the other cool aspects of this game, and that is getting sort of companion characters to play alongside with you. Not really technically alongside, but you can switch out to different characters in this game, so you're not just stuck with your typical whip-wielding character. And you'll see what I mean. We're gonna get a character called Sypha, and she, in my opinion, is probably the best one to have in the game. But the reason I want to go for her as a secondary character is that I think her path is a little more manageable compared to the path with some of the other characters you can get. One of the other characters is Grant. He's this sort of like circus traveler kind of guy or something like that. I don't know the exact story behind him anymore. But he's very short, but he could jump super high, and he's very agile, so you can hop across the screen really quickly. And his thing is that, aside from that, is that he can also latch on the walls and ceilings, so he can actually climb all over the place. And it's really cool. It's really fun to play as him. The next character you can get is actually Alucard, which is obviously the same Alucard as in, say, Symphony of the Night, and other games he's made an appearance in the Castlevania series. And he's pretty cool, although he's got these sort of like magic balls or whatever he shoots out, and it's actually a three-way shot when you have it powered up all the way, and it's kind of useful, but the problem is it's really weak, so he's not very effective in terms of attacking. But his special ability is he can basically turn into a bat, and you can just totally bypass certain sections in the game if you have enough hearts. When you turn into a bat, it actually takes away hearts. So, oops, didn't want to do that, but oh well. The boomerang with Trevor is probably the best weapon in the game, much like the very first Castlevania. Although the axe is still really solid in this game, because there are a lot of enemies like these guys that sort of come overhead, and unfortunately the boomerang, or the cross technically, obviously doesn't go above your head, so you know, it's not that useful with enemies floating over you. And actually Dracula, the way I actually beat Dracula last night was using the axe. And Dracula it's a pretty challenging battle, and he's actually got 3 forms in this game. And the last form, his weak spot is higher up on the screen. He's got a head you have to hit higher up on the screen. And so what I was doing is, instead of riding the platforms that you'll hopefully see by the end of this video, to hit him with my whip, I was actually just staying on the ground and just hitting him with my axe, and just sort of picking him off like hit point by hit point. So, and hopefully you guys could see that by the end of the video. But again, I make no guarantees, because again, this game it's pretty brutal, and I think it's going to be actually even more difficult as I try to, you know, talk and play at the same time, which many of you guys know is already a challenge in and of itself. But yeah, the boomerang and I'd say the axe are the best weapons in this game. The holy water is decent for very specific enemies, but for the most part, it's just not that useful in general gameplay, because there's so many enemies that fly above you or fly straight in front of you, and they aren't necessarily like ground-based completely. And so that makes the holy water not quite as useful as it was in, say, the first Castlevania. The dagger is still here, or the knife. Oops, I didn't want to hit that yet. Oh well. It's not like I'm going to need it. That's actually health. In another Castlevania games, it's typically just meat. And I don't know if that's what it is in this game. It's kind of hard to... No, actually, it is meat. It's actually not hard to see now that I look at it. But yeah, the dagger is actually pretty useful in this game as well. Unfortunately, it doesn't do a whole lot of damage on normal bosses and so forth, but it's actually good for picking off certain enemies from a distance, and that's actually something you're going to see later on in the game. Is whereas I like to sort of go in guns blazing and get up close and personal with the enemies, later on in the game, it's almost better to try to pick your enemies off from a distance. Alright, so this is Sypha. And I think her last name is like Belnades or Belnades or Belnades. I don't know how to pronounce it. But she's actually an ancestor to one of the characters in the one of the more recent Castlevania games, Dawn of Sorrow, Area of Sorrow, and Dawn of Sorrow, actually. And it was Yoko. Yoko was her name. So it's kind of cool how they sort of kept that family lineage going throughout some of the later Castlevania games, even though this game came out, you know, well over 20 years ago at this point. But you know, they still keep those names going, which is pretty cool. Keep that sort of connection going with the old Castlevania games that a lot of people have probably forgotten about. So by hitting the select button on the controller, you can actually switch to your other character. And so this is Sypha. It says when you actually go to you know, accept their offer to go along with you, it actually says, will you take him along? And it's actually a female, and you don't really find out until the end of the game. So back in the day, especially when I was playing this game, and likewise with my friends, we were all just kind of like, you know, that came as a big surprise to us. Just like when you first beat Metroid for the first time and you found out that Samus was actually a woman versus a man. I mean, it doesn't really sound like much now, but back then, you know, there weren't so many female characters as, like, you know, your main heroes in video games. So, and Sypha was one of those that you thought was a man at first, but when you beat the game, if you could beat the game, you found out that he was actually a she. Now, the great thing about Sypha is that she is extremely powerful when it comes to her secondary attacks. Sorry, her regular sword actually isn't that powerful, but the good thing about it is she can actually attack very fast. Not quite as fast as Grant, but she attacks much faster than Alucard or Trevor. So, that's actually a benefit as well. And what's kind of interesting about her sword is that the hitbox is a little more forgiving than the hitbox from Trevor's whip, which you have to be very precise with his whip, otherwise you're not going to hit enemies slightly above or below you. But with Sypha, you have a little more leeway there, even though your sword is very, very short. And because you can attack so fast, you'll actually find yourself taking enemies down in about the same amount of time as if you were playing as Trevor, even though he's technically more powerful. So now Sypha's got some great sort of spells. She's got she'll toss out these 3 magic balls, and they'll just sort of home in on the enemies, and they're actually very powerful. She's got this... Ooh, I almost fell down the stairs. That was dumb. She's also got this flame, which is extremely powerful. It basically takes the place of the axe and the dagger from the other characters. And she's also got, in place of the holy water, she's got this spell that'll actually freeze enemies. And it'll actually freeze an enemy for a few seconds, and then after they're frozen, you can just go up and go pop, just like that. And they basically just explode apart in one hit. So even enemies like the big axe armor enemies that would take like 12 or 13 hits from her, you can kill them in one hit, essentially. And it's extremely useful, and you'll definitely see me using that later on in the game. Switch back over to Trevor. That's not really necessary, because I don't think there are any bats on this section. Don't want that. We're actually going to be fighting Medusa very, very soon, in the next screen or two, I believe. She's sort of the mid-boss. And as far as I'm aware, this is actually the first Castlevania game to introduce mid-bosses, which is actually kind of cool. So on this stage, you actually have 2 bosses, not just 1. And actually on this stage, you could technically say it has 3 bosses, because it... You'll see what I mean once we get there. The boss on this stage is actually technically 2 bosses for 1. It's sort of like a little mini boss rush. Now, Medusa is actually pretty simple in this game. Wow, that was close. Much like she is in some other Castlevania games. Now, Medusa in Castlevania games has always been a mixed bag. She's either been really difficult or really easy. And in this game and Castlevania IV, she falls in the really easy sort of side of things. But in games like Dracula X for the Turbo Duo, as well as Castlevania Chronicles and Haunted Castle, the Castlevania arcade game, she was actually very difficult in those games. So fortunately, she's rather easy in this one because... I mean, you guys might be saying to yourself right now, like, hey, don't be a wuss, you know? You're supposed to be a man when you play these old, difficult, 8-bit games. But no, once you see the later parts of the game, you're going to be kind of glad that there are some easy bosses in the game, because you want a break. You don't want every boss to be mind-numbingly frustrating, because there's plenty of that to be had later on in the game. And we're actually getting there pretty quickly. As of... the next stage or so, I believe that's really when the game starts picking up a little bit in terms of, the overall general difficulty. So we are in the last stretch of rooms, and we're going to fight our next 2 bosses. And fortunately, I have the axe. This is actually really useful right here because of those damn birds. And the birds are some of the most annoying enemies in this game. They just, very annoying. And they are definitely much more annoying once you start dying left and right at, Dracula's castle. So. Nice, I've got the number 3, which lets me shoot 3 of my weapons back to back before they exit the screen. Although your timing's got to be just right in order to get, say, 3 axes out at once. Alright, so here's the boss rush. Basically what's going to happen is we're going to fight 2 mummies, just like in the first Castlevania. And then afterwards we're going to actually fight that Cyclops guy again that we fought just a few stages back. The Cyclops is actually a pretty easy boss, especially when you have both of your platforms ready here. You can just jump over him when he gets to you. Now what happens with him, if you sort of just sit in front of him, assuming he doesn't just bolt at you like this, what he'll do is he'll sort of try to clobber you with his club. And you can sort of bait him into doing that, and... that was dumb. You could try to bait him into doing that, but sometimes he'll just, like, run at you. And if he runs at you, well... you better get back, jump on those platforms so you can jump over his head. But really, he's not too difficult. If you think he's going to dash at you, just run back. Just sit on one of these platforms, wait for him to dash at you, and then you can jump over him. On bosses like him, you're best off just taking it safe, playing it safe, and taking your time. Otherwise, well, you might find yourself in a bad situation. And like I said, when you get a game over in this game, you gotta go back to the very beginning of the stage. So, I think I would have had to refight Medusa again. Maybe? Maybe not? I don't remember. I don't think I've ever gotten a game over there. Or at least not in recent years. So, not about to try it either. Not about to test that theory. If any of you guys have played this game recently, and you've died at that part, let me know where you spawn at. But, like I said, in later stages, especially, you start way back at the beginning, even if you die at the boss. Now, this is actually a pretty challenging stage. This used to be very, very tough for me back in the day. It's not so bad now. A couple of the later stages actually sort of take the cake in terms of difficulty. But this stage, you really just have to be calm. Lots of stairs in this one. Lots of guys flying around like idiots. Nuisance enemies, that's what these guys are. Now, they can be pretty threatening if you sort of mistime your attack or misjudge where they misjudge their pattern. Oh, I didn't want that. I did not want that at all. That sucks. Just like that, I got hit when I probably could have avoided it completely. It's okay. I still have over half my life. So those are the axe armor enemies. They always take a lot of hits in pretty much every Castlevania game in existence. Outside of some of the newer ones, like mostly the Metroidvania titles. But in the old classic Castlevania games, they always take a lot of hits. Whether it's Castlevania 1, Castlevania 3, Castlevania 4. They don't take as many in Castlevania 4. Or maybe they do, and it's just that you can attack faster. I don't know why. They don't seem as much of a threat in that game. But Bloodlines, they definitely take quite a few hits, and so forth. So... I'm just, like, playing musical chairs with my weapons. Went from the dagger to the holy water, back to the dagger. And again, the dagger is actually, it's somewhat useful. I mean, if you could just take your time, attack from a distance, you know, you should be fine. You shouldn't have too many problems with it. But, you know, if you can get up close to an enemy, your whip is your best bet still, because it's the most powerful. Just like so. So, whereas the dagger would have killed the guy in 3 hits, my whip kills him in 2. Now, I think it's probably pretty self-explanatory in that part, but you have to make sure you're not at the bottom of the screen when it goes up. Otherwise, you'll get pretty much pushed off the screen, you'll die. Or you'll get crushed. It depends on where you are on the screen when it goes up. And going to get hit, yep. I knew that was going to happen. It really is kind of tough to plan for these guys, because the second you kill one, another one comes out. Very much like the Medusa heads, which, as many of you guys know, are big-time nuisance enemies. The Medusa heads are probably the most infamous set of enemies in any Castlevania game. And really, probably in most of any game series, period. The Medusa heads are very, very infamous, just in general. So, see, that was a little bit sloppy. I could have totally avoided that hit, but yeah, whatever. Alright, this is going to be a really, really tough part. This is one that used to always get me back in the day. Try to take my time on this part. Now, a lot of these guys you can just sort of skip. What I'm gonna do is actually try to kill this guy because I have so many daggers. Just to make my life easier. And look at that, if you just hold up and attack, you'll actually just sit in place. That's really good to know. And I think the flying guy is gonna come back out too. I think. This part used to always kill me back in the day. I mean, sorry, that last stretch we were just at. It was just, It's an example of some of the really tricky level design in this game. And like I said, really, this is kind of like the start of the tricky level design in this game. This is the level that really sort of kicks it off. If you're playing as Sypha and Trevor. If you're playing as some of the other characters, you will go to different stages, or at least with Alucard. So alright, in this level we fight Frankenstein, who again is a very common enemy in the Castlevania games. Much like in some other games, just wail at him, and you should be good just by doing that. Dodge the sort of bricks he tosses at you, or the blocks. Alright, so we're making good progress. I think next stage is going to be, I think it's one of the water stages. And then after that, I think we go to, yeah, this is one of the water stages. Pretty cool boss, actually. It's sort of, I think it's the Hydras or something like that. And those are also frequent enemies in the series. They are actually the boss to the sort of Atlantis-style or Greek-style water level in Super Castlevania IV. Oh, I did not want that. Guess it doesn't really matter too much though. But actually, I should be able to demonstrate Sypha's sort of freezing ability here, because they should drop the holy water, and it should be one of these that has the holy water. Right here. It's really cool that on this stage you can actually freeze the water for a couple seconds as well, and then just walk on top of it. I always thought that was really cool. And the enemies will actually freeze with it. So, bam, one hit. Now there might actually be an extra life or something down there, and you can probably climb down there with Grant. It's actually kind of hard to sort of fall off, grab onto the wall, and then finagle your way over and grab onto the ceiling. It's kind of hard to explain, but if you play as him, you'll know exactly what I mean. But yeah, there are some sort of extra rewards to be had by playing as Grant. So this power-up definitely makes life a lot easier with Sypha, but you still have to be very, very careful when you're playing. Ah, crap. That was dumb. Got it. Nice. Alright, this is the last stretch or so for this level, and we'll be at the boss fight. What I'm probably going to do is actually just use Trevor on the boss. And I don't think I'm going to need that weapon anymore for the rest of the stage. Yeah, I'm going to hopefully get the axe here. That'll definitely help. Lots of mermen. They're a little aggressive on this one as far as how often they jump up. And I'm just gonna wait for them to jump back down. Thank you. Alright, darn, no axe. Or will I get one here? I hope I get one here. Give me an axe. Give me an axe, yes! That's what I thought. Alright, the axe is actually pretty solid for this boss, because again, you can sort of just hit him from a distance. And hit him from below, just like that. You can hit this guy as he's going up, and as he's going down. Just like so. Got one. Not a very tough boss, really, but you do have to be aware of where you are and where he pops up. And just make use of the platforms. Don't feel bad about jumping back to try to avoid him or avoid his fire. His fire doesn't go that far, so, you know, just get slightly farther away and you should be good. Alright, now this is where the game really starts picking up. You have 4 stages inside Dracula's castle, and you sort of got a map similar to the map in the very first Castlevania. And this stage can be a real pain. Oh, that was holy water. Actually, you know what? I think I still have the freeze weapon with Sypha. Yeah, I'm totally going to take advantage of this, because there's going to be a lot of enemies that take multiple hits. And like these guys. Freeze them, make them go away. It's the only way to kill those things. And this part is made a lot easier by being able to shatter them like that. So, freeze, freeze. Oh, this is so much easier being able to freeze the enemies. And actually what I should do is freeze the sucker, go up, you know, sort of buy myself some time. Just like so. What could that be? Let's find out. I'm not gonna go over there. I just want to find out what it is. Oh, that's it? Damn. Although money bags equate to points, and points you do get extra lives from. So, you know, points aren't always a bad thing. Oh, man, I lost it. I lost my freeze attack. That was dumb. That's why you don't just go running in and just, like, smacking candles while you're on top of them, because you end up getting a weapon that you don't want, like such. I mean, the flame is really good, but you're only attacking in a very specific manner. You're only shooting straight. And specifically shooting straight isn't always that great. It's just one of those things. I mean, Trevor can shoot straight about the same distance as the flame, so it's like, I've already got a guy that can shoot straight. Why do I need another one that can shoot straight? Granted, Sypha's attacks are very powerful, but still, especially in the case of like those axe armor enemies up top, Sypha is definitely more useful with her freeze attack. You'll kind of get to see how powerful this is, though. It says 1, 2, 3, 4 hits. Whereas normally it would take like 2 or 3 times as many hits with her sword. Likewise, even with Trevor's whip. So again, this flame is actually, it's a really powerful weapon, but, you know, I would rather be able to kill these guys in 1 hit instead of 4 hits, if you know what I mean. Alright, now there is going to be some meat up here, and what I used to have a tendency to do is try to whip these blocks while I was jumping on the other side, but you don't want to do that, because if you make the meat appear before collecting it, when you go back and the blocks sort of respawn and you break them down again, there will be no meat to collect. So you don't want to waste that. You want every meat. You want to make the most out of every meat you can. Very tight jump here. Oh, that was close. That's one of the tightest jumps in the game right there. You have to literally just get off the platform like that, then jump. Otherwise, you're not going to make it. It's a very, very tricky jump. Alright, so I'm going to switch to Trevor, because he's got a projectile weapon, which will be a lot more useful on these really annoying birds. Just like so. And again. Oh yeah, I remember this part now. She's like, great. This one isn't too bad though. There's another one later on in the game that's actually a little more difficult. The screen's constantly falling. You've got all these breakable blocks. But we're already at the end already. That's it. Very short little sequence. Not too bad. And I don't think there are any more breakable blocks here. Yep, I didn't think so. Which is a shame. No more meat. Alright, now this is another boss rush, except this time it's a three-way boss. We're gonna switch to Sypha because she's a lot more powerful. And I got 30 hearts to blow away. So it's gonna be the mummies again. Look at the damage she does. Very, very powerful. So what's going to happen is actually once we get to Dracula, Sypha is going to be my character of choice until the last form, if I get there. So, the next stage is pretty... I think it's the next stage. No, it's not the next stage. It's the stage after that's just really, really annoying in terms of difficulty. So look at how many hits this is taking off these enemies. Especially that Cyclops. Alright, now this next guy, he is this sort of, like... Oh, you'll see what I mean. I don't even have to describe him. He sort of follows a very similar form to Dracula's first... I'm sorry, not first, but his second form. The very first Castlevania game. And he shoots out a three-way shot. Again, very similar to Dracula's second form in the first Castlevania. Wow, that took... Whew. Goes to show how powerful her fire shot is. I hit the guy 3 times and didn't even take a single block away. Look at all those hits, wow. Have I even died once? I don't... Strange. I wonder if all that practice has really paid off. Or maybe it's a little more responsive and I'm playing better as a result, because I'm playing on an actual NES. When I was practicing this game, I was actually playing it through the Wii's Virtual Console. Because it was a lot more convenient for me to just set that up with the wireless controller and whatnot, and just, you know, that's just how the Wii is. It's a little more convenient in some cases. But, I'm actually using the real cartridge to do this Let's Play. And I noticed the Wii has a very, very tiny amount of controller lag. It's not that noticeable, but there is a teensy tiny amount, maybe just a few milliseconds, but it's enough for me to sort of notice a slight difference. But things are feeling very responsive here, which is definitely good. So, this stage is, you know, if you've played the old Castlevania, or the original, I should say, this stage will look very familiar to you, and it's sort of like a homage to the first level of the very first Castlevania. Now, that first level in the first Castlevania has sort of made a reappearance in a bunch of other Castlevania games, including Super Castlevania IV. There's a level just like it. In Akuma Joe X68000, there's a level like it. And, you know, there's several other Castlevania games that sort of revisit the level styling. And but yeah, this is one of them that does. And you actually fight death at this stage, which I'm surprised that they actually put death as early in the game as they did. Well, not really early, because it's not that early in the game. We're towards the end already. But he's the third to last boss, as opposed to the second to last, which he usually is in a lot of Castlevania games. Usually death is like sort of Drax's guardian, and you'll fight him right before you fight Dracula a lot of times. But in this game... Oh, that was bad. You actually fight a doppelganger, and yeah, that's actually way more difficult than death. Death really isn't that difficult in this one, surprisingly. Especially once he gets to his second form. Alright, gotta play a little bit safer, because I don't think I'm gonna get any more meat. Oh, crap. Double crap. Stupid drops, whatever you want to call them. Alright, switch back to Trevor to try to get his whip powered back up. Oh, that's where the meat was. What the hell? Hey. Damn, I did it again. See, this is the point in the game where the enemies start taking a ton of life away from you. Even stupid little blobs that bounce across the screen. Little puddles of goo, whatever you want to call them. That would have been good for Sypha. She could have used that to freeze enemies, but no big deal. I don't know if the holy water will be very useful at death. You know, I might as well just go ahead and try it since I've got... No, I'm gonna get this instead. And actually, I should have switched over to Sypha to grab that because that's her three-way shot. Is basically her version of the cross. Nope, there's the holy water again. Good. And that's a dagger right there. Don't want it. Don't ever want the dagger at bosses, to be honest with you. Except maybe the first boss. Eh. Shoot, man. See, these guys are taking a lot of hits now. Let's go ahead and switch to... Let's not switch to Sypha just yet. There we go. I wanted to get my next whip upgrade, then switch to Sypha. Because she's going to have her three-way shot. Dope! Oh well, this should be good enough. Good enough to do some damage. Yeah, look at how many hits that takes off of him. Or it. Alright. So Death sort of just like turns into this big skull and he just goes back and forth in this very predictable pattern. Back and forth. And when he goes off one side of the screen, as you saw, he'll come back in on the other side of the screen. Much like the old Asteroids arcade game or Mindstorm on the Vectrix or something like that. Alright, now we're at the second to last stage. Arguably the most difficult level in the game. So, you know, we'll see what kind of progress I can make here. Trying to figure out what I want to do here. Oh yeah, I remember these. Lots of little hunchbacks on this part. Much like the first Castlevania, just take your time. Remember, there's a section in the first Castlevania that pretty much does the exact same thing. And try not to waste all your hearts doing this. Just get up and attack the enemies with your, you know, just your hand-to-hand weapon. Try to save some hearts. It'll make your life a little bit easier in the next few screens. Now again, this level, you actually fight the doppelganger. And it's the boss I always had the most difficulty with. And, but I figured out a trick last night. I don't know if it was just a fluke. But with Sypha, I was able to sort of just corner the boss and use the homing attack on him. And I don't know if it's going to work, but we're going to try that. Because really, I have no idea any other way I'm going to actually be able to beat that boss if it doesn't work. The doppelganger in this game is so cheap. Especially when you're taking like 5 hit points of damage every time you get hit towards the end of the game. It's really to the point near the end of the game, or at this point, where it's just things become unfair. And that's when you start dying a lot and the game starts becoming pretty much no fun at all. It becomes way more frustrating than fun. And, you know, when I actually stopped playing this game last night, because I was practicing it, I was actually pissed off afterwards. I was like, how did I ever beat this game as a kid? 'Cause I rocked this game as a kid. I was able to finish it. That was a big accomplishment for me as a kid, was beating this game and being able to do it consistently. But me not being able to do it as an adult, that was extremely infuriating. Especially since I consider myself to be better at most games these days, not worse. And that's when I thought, you know, the game just kind of designed poorly. It was designed unfairly at certain points. It was too difficult for its own good, and that's really how I see it now. Because the other Castlevania games, some of them are challenging, but none of them are really like this challenging, you know, and this is almost kind of like an overboard type of challenging. So, of course, I'm making it look really easy because I probably played this stage like 10 times last night, literally. Had to continue several times. Hell, it was actually probably more than 10 times playing through this stage. I mean, I probably continued like 3, 4, 5 times. You know, 3 lives a pop. It was, yeah. Ugh. You'll have nightmares playing this stage. Could use some meat, though. Alright. Oh yeah, this is another vertical segment where the screen keeps pushing itself up. Almost forgot about that. Let's get these guys out of the way first and then go up. Now there is actually going to be an extra life here, which is definitely nice. And it's this section up here. Right here. If you've got a lot of hearts, don't be afraid to use your axe. It'll definitely make life a lot easier if you do. Alright, last little section, then we're at a door. And then... I don't think there's any meat here, but... oh, there is! Oh, shoot. Did not really need that. Alright, we're gonna switch back over to Sypha for this part because her sword actually makes life a little bit easier trying to attack all these birds. Now you'd say, why don't you use your axe? Well, I don't want to use any more hearts because we're getting close to the boss. And I definitely want the hearts for the boss because we're definitely going to need it. So just take your time here with these birds. Don't keep pushing along because you're going to trigger multiple birds at one time and that'll make your life hell. So once a single bird pops out, just stop. And fortunately with these mermen, you can actually kill them standing up with Sypha. Whereas with Trevor, you cannot. You have to duck and attack them, otherwise you don't hit them. So Sypha definitely makes things a little bit easier in certain parts because, again, you don't have to duck and attack them in certain situations, which is definitely very nice. Got through that without getting hit, but now we gotta go back, so... There's our three-way shot. Don't want that. Definitely don't want that. Maybe on another boss, but not this boss. Alright, so do not jump on this part, otherwise you'll probably die. It's as simple as that. And there's gonna be some hearts right here. Alright, so what I'm gonna do is actually jump straight up here. And hope that Sypha remains kind of a dummy like she did yesterday. Wow, look at that! Oh my god! All that trouble I've had throughout my entire life trying to beat that stupid doppelganger, you can just sit up top there and they act like idiots. At least with Sypha. The AI Sypha acts like an idiot. I'm not sure about Alucard or Trevor or Grant. I really don't even want to try it with them now. Alright, so we're at the very final stage now, guys. And, yeah. Very final stage. And do I already have the axe with Trevor? No, I have the timer. The axe was up top. Darn. Alright, well, whatever. Actually, I think I usually get the stopwatch here, just to make life a little bit easier. Ooh, look at that slowdown. I don't think there was any slowdown when I was playing this on the Virtual Console last night. Wow, lots of slowdown. There definitely, I don't recall there being slowdown in the Virtual Console one. That's interesting to note. Or maybe I was just too tired to notice it. I usually notice things like slowdown. You guys know me. Some guys on various forums give me crap because I notice things like that, whereas other people don't. I'll notice when, like, the game hiccups for, like, a split second and, like, the frame rate drops to, like, 55 frames a second instead of 60. I'll be able to notice things like that. But... Alright, this part of the stage is very much a pain, versus these blocks break. So you can't just sit in front of the bone pillar and attack those guys. Now there's actually a one-up up top here, but I can't get to it because I'm supposed to have the axe. But it's okay. So what I like to do is get right in front of the guy and use the stopwatch just repeatedly. So we're actually very close to the end now. This is the last stretch. There's basically gonna be 2 more rooms and we're at Dracula. And, you know, things are looking strangely good right now. I don't know why. Again, you know, practice makes perfect, I guess, and I have been playing the hell out of this game the last few nights. And actually what I did on this part is I would use Sypha, and I would basically freeze the enemies, because this part's actually pretty challenging without freezing and just completely destroying these enemies. But fortunately, her 3-way shot, you know, it only takes away 1 heart, so... It's actually looking pretty good! We got full health. Now this part's a little tricky. Oh, that was close. And again, it almost feels like there's a little bit of slowdown I was not noticing in the Virtual Console version. I wonder if that sort of takes away the slowdown. I never really noticed that if it does. Switch to Trevor, because I'm going to definitely want the axe. I think there's an axe up here. I think so. I hope so. Or is it the dagger? Ah, stupid dagger. Alright, whatever. We're going to use Sypha instead for this part. Even though I wanted to have the... Oh, I could have got the flame by getting the dagger with her. The dagger is always the flame for her. But this seems effective as well. Oh yeah, it's definitely effective. So, I'm not even gonna bother trying to explain this form while I'm doing this. Just, you can kind of see for yourself, sort of. So again, Dracula is actually a 3-form boss. And a fairly annoying one is at that. Wow, this weapon's really good on this boss. Holy crap. Wow, that makes life totally so much easier. Wow. I've never had this weapon when I've gotten to Drac before. It doesn't know what to do. And I can't use another one until it goes off the screen. There we go. Now you can sort of bait where Drac shoots at you. By sort of sitting where you want it to go. It'll basically just try to shoot straight at you. So when there's not a whole lot of wiggle room, I get as close to the platforms as I can. Wow, you gotta be kidding me. All that trouble I went through in the last few nights, and I beat this on my first try. That's just insane. I was not expecting to beat this game, guys. And look at that, I even used the 10 life code, and I didn't even use up all my lives had I been playing it normally with just like 2 or 3 lives to start. And I got a couple extra lives throughout the whole playthrough. Wow. Well, that's great. That's an accomplishment for me because the last several nights I've been playing this, I've been getting rocked by this game. Not me rocking the game, it's been rocking me. So that feels really good. And I actually learned a couple of things. If you can get to that stage with Sypha and have her 3-way shot, it definitely makes life a lot easier, especially on Dracula. That's actually probably the best weapon for Dracula, and I thought the flame was the best weapon, so that's really, really good to know. Wow, and that pretty much took us an hour to beat. That's crazy. Castlevania III, Dracula's Curse. Has a little more of an ending than Castlevania 1 or Castlevania 2. Of course, by the time I upload this, you guys will not have yet seen the finale to Castlevania 2. The Let's Play I currently have up for that is just the Part 1. But after this, I will be uploading Part 2 of my Castlevania 2 Let's Play, so definitely stay tuned for that if you want to see the super short ending of that game. There's Alucard. He's actually in the middle of turning into a bat. And again, that's a very useful, you know, ability, but his normal attack is so weak, so it almost makes him completely useless. I don't really like using Alucard as a character at all. I mean, you can sort of pick enemies off from a distance, because his shot does go farther than, say, Trevor's whip. But, it says help me. That's funny. Thank you very much for playing. Well, you know, guys, since we are, it's going to basically start us off at the beginning of the game, we might as well just play another stage or two so I can show you sort of the difficulty difference. And one of the great things is, as you can see, it starts you off with both your characters. So one of the differences right away is, for one, there's a skeleton up here, which wasn't there before. And now you have zombies on the main floor on the very beginning, which, again, was it was not that way when you first started the game on the regular difficulty. So the game is a lot more difficult on the second quest here. And the Medusa heads have all been replaced with these sort of like floating skulls. And they don't have the exact same pattern as the Medusa heads. They are much more brutal. They in a much more less predictable pattern. And I'm going to get to those guys in the end of the stage. You'll see what I mean. So let's go ahead and just try to blaze through this as quickly as I can. And I think all the enemies, when you start off, are doing like 5 hit points worth of damage, just like if you were at the very end of the game. The flaming skeletons, they actually float a lot faster now, so they're much harder to sort of outrun and plan your attack around. They're much more of a threat now, that's for sure. Oh, yeah, they're still doing a ton of damage, but here's where the skeletons appear. The flaming, I'm sorry, can't even talk straight now. The flying skeletons, skeleton heads, I should say. Look at that. What the hell are they doing? It's so unpredictable. First level and I'm already down to 1 hit point left. Just like in the first Castlevania, if you kill multiple enemies at the same time, with your secondary items, you actually get bonus points per enemy that you take down. It's kind of like a combo sort of deal or something like that. So it gives you incentive, you know, for being a little more efficient with your secondary weapons. Trying to focus now that it's a little more difficult. I should say a lot more difficult. I mean, it's... I mean, like I said, if you guys thought the first quest was tough in this game, like, wait till you play the second one. I mean, I almost didn't survive that without dying. I almost died. Twice. I mean, I got my health back up a little bit by collecting that meat, but then it drained again. Let's go up to the clock tower since you guys didn't see that stage the first time through, and I'll go ahead and grab Grant. Although that's totally going to screw me up in terms of actually completing the game, going through it a second time. So maybe this isn't such a great idea. What you can actually do, though, is get up there, defeat the boss, work your way back down, and just skip Grant completely. Like, you know, you have the option to sort of take the enemy, or take you... man, I'm really losing myself right now. You have the option to take the comrade or not. You can ignore them if you want and just fly solo for the entire game. But, so I mean, if I really want to progress through the rest of this game on the harder difficulty mode, I mean, what I could do is just try to keep Sypha the whole time again. Oh, I thought that breaks apart. Maybe it's this one. Nope. Hey, freeze, look at that. Alright, making progress, but can't believe I'm doing this a second time in the same Let's Play. It's like how I might as well just see how far I can get on a couple lives at least. Because I've never actually really just honestly attempted to go through the second quest, because to be honest, I didn't know it was as difficult as it is until just last night. Oh, look at those, the skeletons again. Yeah, they pretty much just replaced the Medusa heads completely. No more Medusa heads. So now you got these really annoying bastards that are just... they're just that, really annoying. And they're gonna make life way more difficult. Way more difficult. Alright, good, they're... oh, I was gonna say they're gone, but nope, they're not gone. Jeez, man. Oh, that was super close. Get up, get up, get up, get up! I think there's an extra life up top there as well. You can climb up there with Grant. Oh, had a feeling that was gonna happen. Switch back to Trevor, get my whip powered up, because again, if you die with another character, technically both characters die. It's not just one character. Oh, dude, another section? Ah. This level's longer than I remember it being. I thought this was going to be the boss section right here, but I guess not. It just feels like there's no predictable pattern to those guys, which makes them extremely difficult to take down. Alright, now here's the boss room. Meat? Give me some meat. Yes. Yeah. He just jumps over you. Like a bumbling idiot. Alright. Man, those hearts don't give me many bonus points. Give you like a few hundred, that's it. That's less than the money bag. Oh, what? It doesn't give me the option to take Grant the second time through? Wow. That's interesting. I wonder if it'll give us the option to take Alucard next time. I really don't want to go the Alucard route, though. Yeah, the Alucard route kind of sucks. There's some levels that just, yeah, they really blow with Alucard. Like, no joke. Alright, let's see how fast I can fall down here. Skipping these damn skeletons if I can. If I can, it's a big if. Oh yeah, look at that. Ah, I should have known about that part. Alright, let's try this again. Alright, I don't recall there being any spikes or anything, so let's just book it. Straight down. Just like so. Whew, that was close. This level's really long because you go up it and then you go back down it, and then you're basically back at the forest stage. Which was like the second stage for me. Spikes? No spikes. And look at this, I'm just getting dominated here by these bouncing skulls. Unfortunately, the stage is set up so you can sort of just like speed run on the way back, which is pretty cool. So if you know exactly where to fall, you can go back through the stage much faster than, you know, you went up it. That was close. Oh, damn. Had a feeling that was gonna happen. The bats are your biggest threat on these parts. And they just keep coming. They don't stop. Jeez, man. No joke. Alright, let's use Sypha because, again, her attack is a lot more lenient. Yeah, just like that. So much for leniency. See? Great, 2 bats at once? That's unusual. Oh! I thought I could jump. I tried jumping. I didn't realize until too late. When you have a block immediately over your head, you can't jump. So that totally threw me off. Really? No bat that time? We do it 4 times and the bat comes in the exact same spot, but then the 5th time, the bat doesn't. Alright, let's try this again. Alright. Totally wasted any lives I would have had on the normal game mode anyway, not using the help me code. So technically by this point I would have gotten a game over. But, you know, for that many lives, I've definitely had a pretty good run, that's for sure. So like I said, we're back here. So really the only reason you would ever want to go to the clock tower stage is, well, for one, to either just play the stage and you want a slightly longer game, or to get Grant. And really that's the biggest reason you'd want to go there, is just to get Grant. Grant is a really fun character to play as, because again, he can, you know, climb on walls and stuff like that. He's very cool. But, You know, that level is kind of annoying, I have to admit. It's not my favorite stage in the game, even though it's only level 2. Again, depending on which path you take, it's only level 2. But... oh, man. He just, like, came straight back. In the Japanese version of this game, they have different enemies for the hunchbacks. They're like more of these, like, I don't want to say goblin-looking things, but they have like sharp teeth and like big claws and stuff like that. They're not, they sort of bounce along in the same manner as your hunchbacks, but let's go the alternate route. Since I did not show that to you in the last playthrough. So as to not be too redundant, I'll try to mix things up. I mean, I might as well just go ahead and stick around with this, guys. I mean, I've, again, never really played the second quest. But technically, this is the path you would take if you wanted to get to Alucard. Now, there's a secret over to the left, but I don't really care about it right now. I just want to keep progressing without taking too many hits. Whoa, that was close. No, I'm not gonna take it. I'm sure I'll get it again on another stage. That was the freeze weapon. But I actually want this, the 3 balls, because it's much more useful as an offensive weapon. I mean, offensive in terms of, like, big enemies and bosses and whatnot. The freeze, unfortunately, you can't use on bosses. It doesn't do anything on bosses, so... if you get to a boss with just the freeze weapon, you know, you're kind of out of luck. So I'm going to try to keep this weapon, assuming I make it to the boss. Now, we are pretty close. Yeah, very close. Wow. Very, very powerful. Realistically, what I should be doing is switching to Trevor, but I have so many hearts with Sypha, it's just like... it doesn't really matter. I mean, look at this. One hit kill. I mean, her 3-way ball shot is really, really good. Don't need that. It's gonna be a bat. And some more bats, I believe. Alright, this is the boss fight. It's a giant, well, bat. Not a hugely difficult boss. Actually, I'd say it's one of the easier bosses in the game. Because it basically only takes 1 hit to split it apart, and every bat that splits from that only takes 1 hit as well. So, you know, pretty much any character that's weak, even like Sypha and Grant, you can kill the bat pretty easily. Alright, now if this is the path you initially took when you first played this game, this is where the game starts to suck, because, yeah, these set of stages I'm just not a huge fan of. For one, the music, you know, while it fits the environment, it's, you know, it just doesn't help. And the game it gets really challenging here, so... And... lots of those mummy guys up top. They even make an appearance in the pirate ship, believe it or not, on the second quest. But on the first time through, they're nowhere to be found there. They are on this stage, though. This is where they sort of come from. I've got to be careful about just attacking random candles, because I want to try to keep this weapon if I can. Although my life is running low, so there's a good possibility I might not be able to keep it. We'll see what happens, though. Don't need that. I really should be switching back to Trevor, so he can get powered up in case I need him. But it's not looking like I need him, but, you know, just in case. I could use some meat, though. Could use some meat, that's for sure. Regardless whether I'm Trevor or not. Give me some meat. You don't want to touch those drops, they hurt you. No meat. No meat. I don't know if there's a mid-boss in this one. Totally forgot if there is or not. You obviously don't want to touch these things. They will definitely kill you in one hit. I think this is actually a dagger. Or is it an axe? That's a dagger. If you get the same weapon you already have, you'll get 5 hearts instead. Alright, switching back to Sypha, because I don't need Trevor right now. Again, I have 28 hearts, and every time you use this, it only takes away 1 heart, which is awesome. And I'm hoping one of these is meat or something like that. Nice. Alright, switch back. I think there are going to be some more mummies up here, so I have to watch out for them. I think. I'm not 100% sure. See? It's totally taking my time. Especially if I go straight to Alucard as the boss. I think I might just go straight to Alucard and that'll be it. Look at that, I'm over 200,000 points. Oh, I totally missed him. Money, 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 money. Alright, now, Alucard has a very similar form to past Draculas. He's really a walk in the park with this weapon. It really goes to show how good this weapon is. I mean, if you want to have an easy time with this game, play as Sypha and use this weapon all the way through. And don't die. Because you don't get it that often. Again, it basically takes the place of the boomerang for Trevor. Wow. And I am totally going to just use this weapon as much as I can because it's so powerful. There's gonna be some mummies here. Gonna be some more mummies here. Oh no! Son of a... Alright, whatever. Wow, that was lucky. Very lucky. Those mummies are tough to avoid. Like so. Very, very lucky. Oh, you get a choice. I don't know which one I want to go to. I really don't know which one I want to go to. I'm familiar with the bottom one. I haven't played the top one in a while. Let's go to the bottom one just because I'm slightly familiar with it. Even though I remember dying here a lot last time I came here. This is another sort of like Grease-looking stage. But of course, with Sypha being as powerful as she is, just totally take advantage of that. You know, her strength, killing enemies in one hit, things like that. Enemies that would normally take two hits or more. Just kill them in one hit if you can. I'm just waiting for those damn flying skeletons to come out again. Alright, I'm not gonna really need that, as far as I'm aware. I don't think I am, anyway. Actually, it probably would have been pretty useful right here. Yeah, definitely would have been useful here. There's gonna be more of those guys, unfortunately. Oh! Okay, well this is the weapon I want. That's great. I got it back. Be really careful, because there's a lot of guys here. I mean, again, this weapon is so good because it only takes one heart. And you can just sort of sit back from a distance and play it safe. It's really crucial in guys like these that, you know, you attack them when you're attacking them and you have like one hit left. You don't want to just get on top of them and try to, you know, manhandle them. It just doesn't work. You're gonna die. And so, in a difficult game like this, you definitely want to try to sort of play it safe. I've got one hit left still. Let's see what I can do with this. I know there's going to be more of those bone guys here. Like right here. And just like that. And I lost it because I'd already gone through that door. That sucks. Alright, well. Let's get Trevor powered up. Oh, axe. Well, that's somewhat useful. This guy's taking a lot of hits. Yeah, I thought there was another one. I can't believe I'm playing through the damn second quest. I'm already like halfway through the game the second time through. I was not planning on doing this, guys. Trust me. I was definitely not planning on doing this. I wasn't even expecting to beat the game the first time. I mean, jeez. I was not planning on that. Alright, this guy's kind of a pain. Oh. Look at that! Oh, that's cool. That's good to know. If you can attack or time your attacks fast enough, you can sort of just keep those guys in their tracks. Stop them in their tracks. But yeah, this guy is a pain. His pattern is relatively unpredictable. He just kind of does what he wants to. Alright, that's it. Oh, I thought that was it. The hell? Yeah. Oh, he still hurts you when he's flying around like that? God. I knew he was flying away. And this section you basically have to bolt through before the water comes up completely. And then you have to fight that boss again a second time. Not really a second time, but you revisit him and you basically finish him off. His life still stays the same, I believe. Alright, so this part you have to just get through really quickly. Ugh! Saw that coming. 3 bats at once. See, that's just not nice. And then these platforms up here, they start cracking on you. It's not cool. Not cool at all. Shit. I think the second you touch the water, you die. Maybe not quite. Talk about close. It's a lot closer here than it would be if you were playing it on the regular skill mode. Or the first quest, quote unquote. Jeez, what a pain. This is actually kind of intense. Especially since I only have 1 hit point left. The bats, they just keep coming. I don't even know how I'm gonna do this. Like, I've got nothing. Had I managed to keep her 3-ball shot, this part probably would be a lot easier. I think there was an extra life up on the other side or something like that, but the water is going up so fast in this one, it's not even worth trying. Damn, man. Aye. Of course, like 5 seconds ago, I was like, oh, I can't believe I'm doing this again. Like, I'm probably gonna get a game over here and just give up. Like, I totally jinxed myself. I'm also not playing smart right now, but problem is the water is coming up, so like I'm not trying to take my time like I normally do or normally can. So it's like, you know, what am I supposed to do? I mean, I guess I could sort of just try to inch my way forward. That might be what I have to do, but look, I don't even know where the platform is. The water's coming up too fast. Jeez, man. That was dumb. I could have totally avoided that. Shit. Now I'm cussing. I try not to cuss, but this is just one of those situations. I hope you guys understand. Nice, I did it. Please don't kill me, please don't kill me. Hurry up. Oh, come on! What was that? That was crap. That was total crap at the end there. That was just... See, there you go, guys. Like I said, when you get a game over, it starts you off at the very beginning of the level. And I guess it was a valiant effort, but I did waste like 10 lives on this stage. I mean, it's kind of a shame. I was hoping I'd actually be able to beat the game on this harder difficulty mode. And I mean, I'm sure I still could, but I'm not going to go through this whole level again just so you guys can, you know, just so we can hope to witness the end. That last part was pretty damn challenging. Yeah, that was really, really tough. So, anyway, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. I hope you enjoyed this Let's Play. You know, as you guys know, for the rest of this month of October 2013, there's going to be some more Castlevania Let's Plays. I'm not quite sure how many are left, but I definitely know I'm probably going to do Castlevania Chronicles on the PlayStation, Super Castlevania 4 for the Super Nintendo, quite possibly Castlevania The Adventure Rebirth on the Wii. Gonna have to practice that one a little bit, but I might be able to do that. And, you know, we're actually past the halfway point in October now, so, you know, again, I'm not sure how many others I'm going to be able to do, but definitely stay tuned, keep an eye out, and maybe I can come up with a few surprises or two. So anyway, guys, with that, again, thanks for watching. I'll be back with another Castlevania video very shortly. So until next time, guys, take care.